The year was 1822. In the quiet countryside of Sussex, England, the Industrial Revolution was reshaping human life. Railways, factories, and machines marked progress into the future. But on a roadside near the village of Cuckfield, one woman stumbled upon a fragment of the distant past, a clue to a world older and stranger than anyone had ever dared to imagine. Mary Ann Mantell, wife of Dr. Gideon Mantell, a country physician with a passion for geology, was out walking while her husband visited a patient. Along the path, her eyes caught something unusual, a cluster of fossilized teeth, their shapes ridged and serrated, embedded in a loose chunk of stone. Curious, she picked them up. That single act would alter the course of natural history. When Mary Ann showed her find to Gideon, he was immediately fascinated. Mantell had already been collecting fossils from the nearby Tilgate forest, ancient ferns, giant tree trunks, and strange bones. But these teeth were different. They looked oddly familiar. In the days that followed, he compared them to the teeth of iguanas in his collection. Then, one observation struck him like lightning. They resembled the teeth of an iguana, but they were far, far larger. Here was the revelation. If these belonged to a reptile, then it was no ordinary lizard. It must have been a creature the size of a massive land animal, perhaps as large as an elephant. Gideon Mantell gave it a name, Iguanodon, meaning iguana tooth. With this naming, he had unknowingly introduced the world to its first well-documented dinosaur. But science is never quick to embrace the unknown. When Mantell presented his discovery to fellow naturalists, many scoffed. Some declared the teeth belonged to a fish. Others suggested they were the remains of an extinct rhinoceros. The very idea that giant reptiles once roamed the English countryside seemed absurd in an age when the Earth was thought to be only a few thousand years old. Yet Mantell persisted. He wrote letters, gathered more fossils, and sought expert opinions. Even Georges Cuvier, the famed French anatomist, at first dismissed the find, only later to admit that Mantell was correct. These were indeed the teeth of a reptilian giant, unlike any living creature. Mantell's discovery came at a time when geology itself was transforming. Fossil hunters across Britain were uncovering strange bones and stones, hinting at a deep and ancient Earth. Just a year earlier, William Buckland had described Megalosaurus, the first named fossil of a giant carnivorous reptile. Together, Buckland's predator and Mantell's gentle herbivore suggested an entire lost world of colossal beasts, long before anyone had heard the word dinosaur. It was not until 1842, 2 decades after Mary Ann's roadside discovery, that Sir Richard Owen coined the term Dinosauria, the terrible lizards. Iguanodon stood proudly among the first 3 members of this new group, alongside Megalosaurus and Hylaeosaurus. Mary Ann's simple act of curiosity had, unknowingly, planted the seed for an entire branch of science, paleontology. Today, we remember Gideon Mantell as the man who introduced Iguanodon to science. But behind this story stands Mary Ann Mantell, whose sharp eyes spotted the first teeth that began it all. Though history often overlooked her role, she was the spark that ignited one of the greatest scientific revolutions, the realization that Earth was once ruled by mighty creatures we now call dinosaurs. From a quiet Sussex lane to the halls of museums across the world, the legacy of that 1822 discovery endures. The Iguanodon, born from a handful of teeth, became the gateway to our understanding of deep time. Mary Ann Mantell's chance find reminds us that history can change in the blink of an eye. And sometimes the greatest discoveries begin not in the hands of scholars, but in the curiosity of ordinary people. Make sure to like, comment, and share.